How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.
Runs from the top, as always, for the Titans, but an innings that has not quite gone the way you thought it would go at the halfway mark. Shubman Gill and Sudharsan put them on course for a huge total at 120 for no loss in 12, but they finished 180 for 6 as the Lucknow SuperGiants pull things back a bit in the back half at the Ekana. Where does that score lie? Who are the favourites? Let's try and unpack the first innings on Maruti Suzuki Arena. Presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout, where we have the company of Piyush Chawla, Wasim Jaffer, Matt Roller. Gentlemen, thank you. Piyush, Matt, I wonder how you're splitting this. The score falling bang in the middle of what you called. But it did look like for large parts that you would be the one winning, Wasim. What's happened
or
there?
maybe even beyond what I predicted, because they were 120 for no loss in 12. You would expect in the last 8 overs they easily get 80 or 90. So, they'll be disappointed. But still, I would say that it's still not a bad score considering GT bowling lineup. But LSG will be happy, how they've contained in the last 8 overs with Ravi Bishnoi, Avesh Khan, bowling in tandem in those 4 overs after those 12 overs. And then Shardul picking up 2 wickets back in the end.
Yeah. What has changed from what we saw in the first 12, where it felt like there was nothing happening for Lucknow, to the back 8?
Well, there's something for the bowlers in this wicket. Just that you have to give credit to Shubman Gill and Sudharsan the way they started. And they played some excellent cricket shot. If you see Shubman's inning also, there was hardly any pace in the wicket. So he was using his feet to create that pace behind the ball. And Sudharsan on the other end, he was playing his classic cricket. But once you lose wicket and the ball also gets softer on a slow wicket, it becomes difficult to bat. And that's what we have noticed here. So I think in the middle over, you have to give credit to the bowlers of LSG, the way they pulled the things back for LSG. But still, as Wasim Bhai said, 180 odd runs on this wicket is a good total.
Yet you feel the sense of the definition of the par total has changed based on how difficult it was to score in the back half?
Yeah, I mean, being a day game, you would expect things would slow down a little bit. And, you got to give, like how Piyush said, a lot of credit to how Sai and Gill batted as well. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it depends on Pooran and obviously their top order. But this GT bowling lineup, looks much stronger. So, you'd expect them to defend this.
I thought quite notable. We talk about GT's style being quite different to other teams, but only 3 sixes across that innings, but 18 fours. And I think that sort of sums GT up quite nicely. They're a team that are going to look to hit the ball on the ground a bit more than some in the league. And obviously did get off to that sort of perfect template start of 120 in 12 overs, which looked like a great platform. And even though they haven't launched from the back end, I think, as the guys said, based on conditions, what we've seen in terms of bowlers, seamers going to slower balls and the spinners strangling quite nicely towards the back end, I think it's going to be quite a competitive total despite that lack of power.
Pick up on that pattern of GT. 3 sixes just feels out of the blue for any IPL innings the way things have become. Do you expect that to be something that could hurt them later in the tournament, or is that a function of the wicket they were batting on today?
Well, they were batting according to the wicket, and we have seen not only in this game, the other games also, they adapted the conditions really well, and they were batting as per them. Later on, we saw the batsmen, whenever they tried to hit it in the air, they got out. So they never wanted to be in that situation that they're trying to hit those big hits, and then they were like 60 for 4 down. So they batted really well in the top order. When the ball was hard, they utilized that gaps and they made use of the hard ball. And once it was the soft ball with the slow wicket, it was not that easy to play those big shots. And Lucknow boundaries are quite big. In the sides, definitely they're big. So it was a proper batting by the GT top order batters.
How does that impact how Lucknow's batters, who are quite the opposite? 6 hitting is all you think of when you think Pooran, Pant and a lot of the others as well. How does what has happened in the first innings impact or influence how they go about the chase?
Well, I think they'll go hard in the power play. You have to. You have to get closer to the target and, set the platform in the power play. But the challenge will be to how they bat after power play. With Rashid and Sai Kishore, how they shape up that innings. Their middle order, how, they haven't been put under pressure, especially in a chase. So, yeah, Rishabh Pant's contribution along with Pooran is going to be massive.
It's going to be quite the study in contrast. But let's just go back to the top of this innings where Shubman Gill and Sudharsan have registered what is the season's first opening stand of 100 plus for any team. They were the last to put on a century stand as an opening pair in the IPL last season. And let's start with what stood out to you about both the innings. They do always tend to complement each other very nicely. What did you observe?
Running between the wicket, number one thing, because if you're running well between the wicket, you're putting a lot of pressure on the bowler. Because even as a bowler, if you bowl a good ball, you're going for a run for that. And after that, the way Shubman was using his feet and Sai was using the pace.
Wasim?
Yeah, pretty much the same. And I think being a left-hand, right-hand combination, you don't let the bowlers settle. They got to bowl different lines, and not many bowlers adjust to that. And they are not somebody who you feel they're gonna play traditional shots all the way. Shubman can step out and hit. He's a good clean striker of the ball. So does Sai Sudarshan. He scores runs in the different parts of the ground. So that stays pretty evident that these guys are special. They don't take too much risk, but still get the job done.
You said in the build-up that perhaps the reason he is not always in the conversation is something to do with maybe a lack of glamour. That won't be a factor if he keeps scoring runs the way he is. It's 450s and one score of 49 in the 6 innings so far.
I mean, that's the best way to go and do your job. Keep scoring runs, keep piling up the runs. He's probably the orange cap or the orange cap holder now. So, a lot to like about him. How he goes about his business. Even in the last game against Jofra, when he was steaming in, he handled him really nicely. Even today, the pitch was a little tricky, but Shubman was in his elements, but he was striking at 160, 170 as well. So that was pretty much to like about him.
He's that nice blend as well. He takes a lot of low risk options, but can also get a bit inventive. I really like that paddle he plays over short fine leg, and it feels like something that's going to really help him manipulate fields. Because if teams start pushing fine leg back, then that will open up a gap somewhere else, and he's a good enough player to hit over the infield in pretty much any part of the ground.
Yeah, we have seen quite a bit of that. That lap shot, I'm not sure how much of it he was using last season, but we've seen a lot of it this year, which also shows a lot of work that he's putting into his game.
Well, when it's not your natural shot, you have to put in a lot of hard work behind that. And one of the game I was watching where he come before the game, when you stand on the pitch and do your shadow practice, there also he was doing the shadow practice of playing a lap shot, which means it's running into his mind, and he knows that he's one of the boundary taking option now. So if you're doing that on a regular basis and you're hitting everything in the middle of your bat, doing that, so it means you have done a lot of hard work for that thing.
Right, so runs again for Sai Sudarshan, runs for Shubman Gill. Sai Sudarshan has put himself 41 clear of Nicholas Pooran, who was the orange cap holder going into this game. Let's see if Pooran brings it back. But I do want to tuck into those overs of Ravi Bishnoi, because it felt like it wasn't starting well for him. The first 2 overs went for 27, but then he's come back and applied the brakes and got the wickets of Sai Sudarshan and Washington Sundar. What did he do right?
Well, I think he just stick to his basics, because he just made sure that he's bowling up to the batter. When the wicket is slow, it's very difficult to hit down the ground rather than compared to hitting square of the wicket. And the wicket which he got of Sai Sudarshan, he just bowled up and he was just trying to spin. And that's his natural thing as well, bowling against the left-hander, going away from him. So that's what, that was, I think, good thing for him happened, that there were 2 left-handers at the crease, him and the other one is Washington Sundar. So that really helped the cause, to be very honest.
And you felt you really needed a good performance sooner than later. I think it was 4 wickets at nearly 12 runs per over coming into this game.
Well, as I always say, in T20 format, it can happen to anyone. You just need one good spell or one good knock to get back into the groove. And today, what happened with Ravi Bishnoi, those 2 overs actually made the huge difference in the game. If Sai Sudarshan would have batted another 2-3 overs, so this score would have been somewhere around 200 then.
Wasim, thoughts on someone who you've seen in his early part of making a name in the IPL, to going on to play international cricket, been at the top of the rankings if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
And now he knows that he's fallen behind in the pecking order as well.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Ravi Bishnoi is his consistency to land the ball, at that spot time and again. We've seen he struggles that his leg spin doesn't spin. So when players play him for some time, they can target him. They get used to him, and batters have found the way to score runs. So for him to be consistent, he needs to keep adapting to new skills. We talked about Sai Sudarshan, being that kind of a player who's upgraded his skill. he needs to do that as well. He bowls with a lot of pace. Sometimes batters find it easy in this format because nobody steps out and hit nowadays. They stand in the crease. But today was a good performance. He was, those 2 overs, if at all, LSG went on to win this game, they'll talk about those 4 overs where they came into the game. And vice versa, I would say Gujarat will, feel that those 4 overs actually stopped them from getting those 20 plus runs.
Piyush, we've seen quite a few leg spinners come into the IPL this year and have some success, or wrist spinners as well. Some of the guys that have been around for a bit longer have found it a bit harder. As someone who was at the top for a long time and had a very successful IPL career yourself, do you think there's that need for the older guys to sort of reinvent themselves to some extent? And because obviously teams see them so much now, players have faced them before, they see footage, they sort of know what their skills are.
Well, that does make a difference when somebody has seen you enough and they've faced you enough. But I feel it's about thinking way too much. As a bowler, sometimes when you think too much, okay, this batter might do something like this, so I'll bowl this one. And batters are waiting for that. If you come and bowl in the right areas, you follow your basics, because a good ball eventually is a good ball in any format for that matter. And if you keep bowling those wicket-taking balls, and we have seen Prasidh Krishna, for a fast bowler, he keeps coming and bowling those hard length, and now people are struggling against him because that's his strength. So as a leg spinner, I feel whatever your strengths are, you just come and stick to those, and if you keep landing the ball in the right areas, so that will definitely make a life difficult for a batter. Because I don't think so, like, if I don't want to go anywhere else, I just want to give my example. Everyone knows that PC will come and bowl the wrong ones. But if I'm bowling in the right areas, that will still be an effective delivery.
All right, let's focus on a bowler who perhaps doesn't think that much. And Shardul Thakur, with 2 wickets, has now gone on to 11 wickets for this season. The last 4 of those have come from full tosses. Wasim Jaffer, what is the magic trick?
Why do you think he doesn't think? What makes you think?
Perhaps doesn't think as much, or is guilty of overthinking is all I'm trying to say. I'll never mess with.
Yeah, he's not somebody who's going to overthink.
Yeah.
He keeps it simple. I think the strength of Shardul is, he's not scared to get hit. He'll keep on trying different things. He'll surprise you with his variations, and that's what he did. I mean, in the last 2 wickets, he got it off the full toss. He's not scared to bowl bouncers with fielders up. So he'll surprise you and bluff you with those deliveries, and he's got that knack of picking up wickets, even though he might be expensive, but he does, give you 2 or 3 wickets, and that's exactly what he's done this season.
Well, I agree with him. Like that wicket luck, which I say, there are few bowlers who have got that. So one is Shardul, the other one is Khalil Ahmed. You'll never see them, going wicketless, no matter how many runs they'll give. So that's their strength also at the same time, because they know they just want to come and bowl their heart out for the team. And if they're giving some 10 odd runs extra but ending up picking 2 wickets, so that helps the cause for the team, and that's what they think that's their roles are.
Analyst's dream, Shardul Thakur?
I'm not sure about that. I think, he's someone who, the cliche has always been makes things happen, isn't he? He's unlikely to get too many dull overs, I think, watching IPL cricket when Shardul Thakur is bowling, and so it's proved so far this year.
I tell you what, we can't expect too many dull things at the start of this chase, because when we consider people who make things happen, Rishabh Pant, who did not bat in the last game as his team piled 238 at the Eden Gardens, is opening in Mitchell Marsh's absence. Wasim, thoughts?
No, I think it's a good move. It's a good place for him to bat, considering Mitchell Marsh is not there. And if he gets going, he'll make that chase easier. So I would like to see him score some runs today.
What is the approach you'd want him to take going into this chase?
I want Rishabh Pant to bat the Rishabh Pant's way, because that will really help the cause. He's somebody who likes to play those, fancy shot, and when the field is up, and I really want him to score runs, because that will do a really good thing for his confidence, for team's confidence. So I feel today he just go there and bat Rishabh Pant's way, and he'll definitely succeed.
Any thoughts on Rishabh Pant opening?
Well, it's just interesting from a sort of strategic point of view, because it sounds like Marsh is likely to come back in the near future. So it's interesting to see that they've gone down this route of going Pant up the order and therefore leaving a gap in the middle, whereas some teams might have looked to fill in the opening spot for one game and keep Pant in the same spot. But clearly, they think this is going to be something that could help him, could help his confidence, and very interesting to see.
Also potentially opens up space for perhaps a few Washington Sundar overs in the power play.
Well, I feel so. Like, I would like to see Rishabh Pant, Washington Sundar bowling those overs with, he's coming to open the inning, and then obviously number 3 you have Puran. So, and slow surface as well. So I think that definitely opens up the space for Washi.
All right, let's tuck into predictions. Wasim, where is this ending?
I think GT should defend this, but I don't mind a super over.
Oh, yeah. I thought that comes this way.
Wow.
Super over call. All right, fine. Piyush.
Well, looking at the nature of the wicket and the quality of GT's bowler, I think it's going GT's way.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it'll be a tight GT win by, let's say, 8 runs.
It is tight as far as forecaster goes as well, because the win probability on ESPN Cricket Info forecast at the start of the chase is 53-47 in favour of GT. That is how close the margins are. GT, of course, have not conceded 170 once since their opening game against Punjab. If they do that once again, it will be 5 wins on the bounce, 5 wins in 6 in total, and only further them at the top of the points table. We'll be back at the end of this game, and we'll also be building up to Saturday's second game, which is Sunrisers Hyderabad taking on Punjab Kings. So be sure to join us just before 7 p.m. IST on Maruti Suzuki Arena, presents ESPN Cricket Info Timeout.
How do I do it all? The Brezza gives me the power.